Hello, today my group will take you through an introduction and the basics of the R package TidyR. First, we need to install the package TidyR, but on our computer we already have it installed, so if you don't, just do install.packages with TidyR in double quotes and open it in your library. There are four main functions that the package uses, which are gather, separate, spread, and unite. To tidy messy data, you first identify the variables in your data set, then use the functions from TidyR to move them into columns. Gather takes multiple columns and collapses them into key value pairs, duplicating all other columns as needed. You use gather when you notice that you have columns that are not variables. Let's look at an example with gather. Suppose we have the following data set. There are 3 people and their running times are recorded when they're wearing shoes versus sandals. Looking at the new data set, notice the previous variables shoes and sandals are now combined into a new categorical variable named shoe type with 2 character strings, sandals and shoes. Also notice the running times for each shoe are combined into a new column named running time. Gather is a useful function if you want to convert from unstacked to stacked data. Now let's look at another function that is useful when managing or cleaning the data, given either a regular expression or a vector of character positions. Separate turns a single character column into multiple columns.
Let's look at an example with separate. Looking at this dataset example, we see movie reviews by each person where the thumbs rating and star rating are given in the same column. If we want to separate the movie review column factors into 2 columns, then use the separate function as such. The separate function requires a dataset, a specific column to split into 2 columns specified by the vector given, and by which symbol to separate the column, which in this case is by a period. This function is very useful when a column needs to be split into 2 separate columns. Say we want to combine 2 columns into 1. Instead of separate, the complement of separate is the unite function. If we apply the unite function to the messy data 4 dataset, then we can combine the thumbs and star rating back into 1 column as such.
Again, the unite function pastes together multiple variable values into one. In essence, it combines 2 variables of a single observation into 1 variable. Lastly, TidyR has another function named spread, which basically turns a single character column into multiple columns. If we look at our original data after we used gather, we have 2 columns named shoes and sandals, with the running time for each as the values. Say we want to undo what gather does and take 2 columns and create a single column with factors as the column names and runtime to be its own column. After specifying the data, the variable name of the column we want to split, and the values of the column, which in this case is runtime, we get the original data that we started with. This is essentially undoing the gather function. The factors of the shoe type get their own column, while the running time column gets the values for sandals and shoes. To summarize, we show 4 main functions used in order to organize the datasets by combining or splitting columns in order to get a format that is easier to use and work with when importing the data into statistical or programming software to build models and analyze the data. We talked about the 4 main functions used in the TidyR package that stack, unstack, combined, and split columns, but there are more functions to play around with when dealing with the data management. These other functions often require a second package installment, such as dplyr that works alongside the TidyR for data cleaning. To learn more about TidyR, type !TidyR in the command line, or simply Google TidyR R documentation. Also, to get a full breakdown of when and how to use tidy in R, type vignetta tidy data in the command line for further documentation.
Just run that.